Hi class, welcome back to the second module of this web development course. Now in this module 2, we are going to start the real work. We are going to do some little coding in this module 2, and it will continue until by the end of this course. So now let's dive into the main content of what we have next, that is HTML. Now, as you can see on the screen, it says Introduction to Computer, and you have some information here which says what is HTML. Now, first, before we write a code in our Visual Code Editor or in our text editor or whatsoever IDE we are using, the integrated development environment, we need to know what we are learning. So when we talk about HTML, HTML in itself or HTML in general is the programming or the language that we are going to write in a particular software or in a tool that have interpreters or that will transform that text that we write into a user-friendly message or into a user-friendly information. So this is why this is not what you write exactly in the text editor is what displays in the browser. So when you write a code, the text editor that you are using, that is the Visual Studio Code, it has interpreters and then it transforms the message into a user-friendly message, or let me say to a human-readable message or to a human-readable language. So HTML is a markup language. Now, when we talk about markup language for describing web documents, so the markup language is the one that do what we call describing a web document. So if we look over the internet, almost every website that we have access in the internet have a markup language in it. And what is that markup language? That is the HTML. So all websites, they have HTML because the HTML is the base for all websites. It is the main structure of websites. So it is the markup language for describing the web documents and web pages. Now HTML, these four-letter words, it have a meaning. So the H stand for hyper, and then the T stand for text, and the M stand for markup, and then the L stand for language. So we simply refer to as the hypertext markup language. A markup language is a set of markup tags, okay, and then HTML documents are described by HTML tags, okay. So every HTML element is described or is displayed by the HTML tag. So when the HTML tag is not present in a website or within the code editor, so sometimes it may give us error over the website, or the page will not even be displayed. We will not see the content in it. So each HTML tag describes different document content. So we will see that in the next slides. Now, as you can see here, it says example code here. Now let's see here, this what you are seeing here, this is the main structure of HTML. So in this first part of this module 2 is going to be like kind of theory, and then we will also be doing a basic practical of it. Now, as you see here, it says example code here. Now this code that you are seeing here, this is what we write in our IDE or in our Visual Studio Code editor. So when we open the Visual Studio Code editor, because you can remember in module 1 we talked about the software that we are going to use to write our codes, and then we have seen how to install it, and then we also have access the welcome screen, the the interface of it. So now when we open that software, okay, so this is what we are going to put in the software itself, okay. This is what we refer to as the HTML skeletal, or the skeletal of the HTML, or the skeletal structure of the website, okay. So every website will have this line of code which we refer to as the doc type HTML, and then from there it will also have HTML this, and then it will also have head, and then it will also have title, page, and so on. Head and then body, then it will have some of these content in it, then it will also have body at the ending and HTML. So these things that you are seeing here, we refer to them as what? HTML tags or HTML elements, okay. So they are tags, okay. So now before we do any other things, let me just read this green notes that is written here. Now we said, now before you can start coding with the IDE, that is the Visual Studio Code, you must create a folder on your computer, okay. So meaning before we open the IDE, or even if we open the Visual Studio Code, for us to be able to write a code, we need to create a special folder where we want to keep our files, because you already learned in the first module that HTML or website, it is a combination, or it is a bunch of files and documents that we put together, and we store it in the server within the internet, okay, so as other people can access. Now you must create a folder on your computer, preferable on the desktop, and give it a project name like this is my website, or any name that you want. Then next you can open the Visual Studio Code and create a file inside that folder with an extension .html or .css or .js. So when we talk about extension, it's talking about the last three prefix, let's say maybe three-letter word or two-letter word that you see at the end of a file. Like when we open a Microsoft Word document, we will see at the end of it .doc, or Excel document, we will see .xl and so on. Or let's say when we open a DBS document, that is Microsoft Access, we will also see a different type of extension in it. So every file or every tool that we are using, or maybe when we are using an image, we can have an image, our name on it, and then we see .jpeg. The JPEG there is extension, okay, or .png and so on. So that is what we refer to as extension. So when we are creating our file, that is our HTML file, that we can give our file any name. Let's say we can say my first website or my first web page, then .html at the end of it. After writing my first web page, then you say .html. Okay, if it is a CSS file, then you say .css, or if it is a JavaScript file, then you say .js, depending on which of the technology you are using. So we will be doing this together. Now, these codes that we have seen here, we are going to try this in our website. So I will just switch off from the screen and then open my Visual Studio Code. So now, let's say we have this is the Visual Studio Code, so make sure you have this installed already from module 1. Now I will open it. Now when I open this Visual Studio Code, you will see here, okay, so you can see right now here I do not have anything, though I have an existing folder that is open here for me, so I don't need that folder, meaning we need to create a new folder. Okay, so when we come here, we hover here, you can see new and so on, so we don't need that. You can also look down here, you will see new file, a new folder and so on. So all those things may be difficult. So what I want us to do is just to minimize the screen. Now you can see my computer screen. I want to create a project and call it let me say I will just call it batch2 project. So I'll just say control N, control shift N to create a folder. You can see my folder is here. Then I'll just rename my folder. So the computer is somehow okay. So I'll just click on this folder and then rename it. Okay, so I'll just click on rename and then just say B A, okay, H for double D 00001. Okay, so this is my folder as you see here. I'll just put it somewhere here. Now I can move it, so I want to see it. So I will go back to the application here. This is the application. I will click on it. Now it is open. So I will come to file, okay, click on this file here as you are seeing my screen. Then I will come to this part which is open folder. So I will just click on it and then open the folder. So where did I save my file? I save it in my desktop. So I will just come to the desktop, click on desktop. Then once I click on desktop, you will see these are the desktop apps. So what is the name of the file? I see, okay, so this is the folder. You can see batch2 for double D001. So I'll just click on it and then open, right? So once I click on it, you can see it here. It is already here. So we just click what, select folder. Now once we select folder, so now our IDE is open and fully ready for use. Okay, so now I want you to check here. You can see you have batch. Okay, you have the folder name here, so you can see the drop down here. When you click the drop down, you will see. So click on this and then it will open. Now you will have these three buttons here. This first button is the file, this second button is the folder if we want to create another folder inside this batch folder. So we don't need that. So now what are we going to do here is to create a file. So understand that the folder, it is the part where we store our web files or our website file or our web pages files. So the files that we create, those are what we refer to as the web pages. Okay, so we have to come here. You can see my hand hover to the first plus icon here, and then we just click on it, and then you can see we have this line here. So when I have this line here, now let's say I will just say my first, okay, FIRST, first okay, my first my first web. You can see it here, the name, my first web. So this is not done. Now what will make this a web file or a web page? It is when I use the correct extension, and that is going to be .html. Okay, so you can see now when I say .html, now you can look at the symbol here. You can see two angle brackets here. Okay, there are two angle brackets here, left and right. Okay, so once I press enter, now you can see the text editor is open for me to write a code freely. So you can see this is open my HTML dot and so on. So it says open chat and so on. So that is just to make you understand that these Visual Studios codes, now they have some tools which you can use in order to do charts and then get codes from. So we will learn about that, how to use the chat GPT, the AI in the Visual Studio Code, where we can automatically generate a code and then paste it here without having to go out from this IDE. So now let's try to write our first code. So we go back to the presentation and we see what we have there. Now in the presentation, it says this is going to be our sample or example code. Okay, these codes that you are seeing here, doc type HTML. So we will type that and see what we have in the HTML file. Okay, so I will type that one. Okay, then so I want us to come to the text editor here. Then I will just say open bracket, sorry, type it up here. Okay, so what I want is to yes, so once I type this, you will see I have typed the first line, which is doc type uh, .html. Then I will type the word HTML again here. Okay, and close with bracket. Okay, and move to the, sorry, okay, skip for now. So sorry, I it seems like the chat GPT is open, so that's not what we are looking for. Let's close this. Close. Okay, so I have doc type here. Then I'll just press enter and then type HTML. So you can see once I type HTML. So the beauty of using the IDE is when you type, okay, it will give you two things. So now there is something that I want us to explain. There is something that I want to explain to you. Now, when we are writing codes, now every HTML tag, we have what we call an opening tag and then a closing tag. Okay, so meaning every tag within the HTML file, there is an opening tag. This is how the opening tag look like. And then the closing tag also look like this with a slash forward, okay? With a slash forward, then the name of that tag, okay? So this HTML here that you see here, the word HTML here is the name of this element, okay? Which we refer to as HTML element or HTML tag. As you can see here, it says the element presents the root of an HTML. So every HTML element have to start with this name that you are seeing here. So this slash post is telling you this is the closing tag of the HTML element. So how do I do this? I'll just press the enter key to make it. So this is the arrangement format that we have there. So let's go back to our presentation and see how it looks. Now, if you look into the presentation, this is exactly how it looks. You can see doc type HTML and then you can see down here HTML. So now after writing the word HTML, then we will type in header. So don't worry about this. We will get to know all of them. Okay. Now we go back to the Visual Studio and then type what we call head. Okay. So when we type the head, okay, you will see that the Visual Studio editor, it will give us an option. So we just click on it. Now you can see it also gives us the same thing. This is an opening tag, that is the first element at your left on your screen, and then the one that is at the right is the closing tag, which is having this slash. Okay, which is having this slash that you are seeing here. Okay, so as you can see, I have highlighted it. It is the closing tag. Okay, so now this is how we write our code. Now for this one, we don't press enter. This one we leave it in an inline form. So when it is in this form, it is in inline. Okay, so we leave it like that, and we and we move on, right? Are we together? So let's check how it is here. Now you can see it is here as the head. Now inside it, this is where we will type some other details, which is like the title and so on. So I'll just press enter to bring it down. Okay, so then let's type head here. Okay, HEAD, sorry, title. Then we type the word title, and then that's it, and we press. Now in this title here, normally when we visit a website, we will see titles on the web browser and so on. Let's like when you open a Google, on the sidebar of the Google, you will see their Google, because they uses this title tag or title element to do that. So we'll come to all this. So forget about this. Now after entering this or using this, so now you can come below the header tag and press enter. Now you are going to enter a tag which we call the body tag. So we type in body. Okay, so we just type in body. So once we type body, you will see body will come. Just press on it. Now you can see you have an opening body and then closing body. So this completes our HTML tag. So we can compare this with this. We have a doc type. Now let's compare this here, and then you see what we have. Now these two tags that you are seeing here, that is H1 and P, forget about them. They are not part of the skeletal. They are just tags that we can use in developing a website. Okay, so we'll come to all of them one by one. Now here we have a doc type HTML, we have HTML, then we have the header tag, then we have the title between the opening and the closing of the header tag, then we have a tag which we call body tag. Now this body tag, this is where all our information is placed within the website. So we will move to the next slide and see what we have. Now let's explain each line of code that we write in that text editor. Now this doc type that you are seeing here, now you know we are using different technologies or different browsers in order to display our website. So the doc type, it is the first HTML tag, or it is the first element within a web HTML uh, file, or within an internet within a web page file that we have. That is the doc type that you are seeing here. Now this doc type, it is the one that declares or defines. Declaration defines the document type to be the HTML. So meaning this doc type is the one that tells the browser, either you are using Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, Edge or Microsoft Explorer or Opera Mini or whatever browser you are using. The doc type is the one that tells those browsers what type of HTML version are you using, because we have different version of HTML. We have HTML version 1.0, version 2.0, 3.18, 4. And so on. So we all have HTML5, we have HTML3 and so on. So the doc type is the one that tells the browser which version of HTML file are we using. Okay. Now the text between, okay, HTML and then HTML element. Now this thing that you are seeing, HTML element and HTML element, describe a HTML document. So everything that we have to be put right in need to be between this HTML document and then the HTML, the closing here. So this first tag that you see here is what we refer to as an opening tag for every element. So this is also an opening tag, this is 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 an opening tag. Now the tags that are having slash 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 character in them with the name, they are referred to as the closing tags. So this HTML tag is refers to as the root of the HTML. So meaning every HTML file starts with this word HTML, and it is also closed with this HTML. Okay. So describe a HTML document. Now the text between head and head, okay, provide information about the document. So within the header tag, this is where we can write some information about the document, like the document type, the title, the chassis of the documents, and so on, and so many other features. Okay, so we also have this, the text between, okay, that is the title and the title, provide a title for the document. So now when we visit a web page, you will see that at the search bar, you will see that home is there and the name of that website. Home, let's say you see home BMK Academic. So the home there is the title there, okay, for that web page. So if you create another web page and that is called About Us, now that page will be About Us BMK Academic, okay. So that is how it is. So that is the title. So the title is what you see on the search bar together with an extension of the name of the website. So, or let's say the tagline of the website. So it provides a title for the document. Now, the text between the body and this opening tag of the body and then the closing body describe the visible content. So everything that we want to be visible within our website need to be between this body and this body. Okay, so that is what we refer to as the body tag. Now the text between H1 and H1 describe the headings. Okay, so we will talk about this one, and then this P and then closing P here. This is talking about paragraph tags. So now let's go back to our HTML here. Okay, let's go back to our HTML here. Now, if you look at my this website here, right now I have already created a HTML document. Okay, so but nothing is here. But now I want to make sure that as I am writing this, let me see if I can have a screen that will, yeah. So right now you can see I have a browser screen around this end here. So I want you to view these two screens. Okay, you can remember we talked about in the first module we talked about prettier or some of the extensions that we can use in order to preview our development while we are working. So here is the development part, and here is what we are going to see in our browser. So first, now as you see here, now I just want to say in this, because I have already put in the doc type declares the HTML file, and then this is the HTML, this is the root. Okay, this part that you are seeing here is the root of the HTML. The header, this is a very important part within this document that contain a lot of information, and this, and then also we will have this is the body. So everything that I want to be visible need to be visible, put here. So I will say everything that I want to be visible should be written here. So now you can see as I am typing, check here, you see this message here. Do you see this? This is exactly what we write. But what happened? Why is it that we are not seeing all these other tags, this body and so on? Because this software will interpret what we are writing, okay, and convert it to a user, how to call it, to a user language or to a human readable language. So when you do programming, you will understand the concept that I am saying. So now if you look at here, this is the browser here. This is the web browser. Right now you can see my face HTML. You can see this is a search bar, right? So this is an extension that will help us to view our website. So I type here everything that I want to be visible here. Okay, want to be visible, should be written uh, here. So now you can see that message is here. So this is the body. This part that you see here is what we refer to the body. So everything that we write, when we write it within everything that we write in our website or in our HTML file, when we want it to be visible, it have to be between the body, this body, and this body here. So this is the main skeletal of the HTML. Okay, so this is our first part of the web development process. So now you have seen how you can create a HTML skeleton, but this skeleton here is not fully complete because it lacks some of the very important information that's supposed to be the header, and then that's supposed to be within the header and so on. Okay, so now I will delete everything here. Now you have seen how we can write this. So we have a shortcut to bring this HTML structure automatically in our text editor in our Visual Studio Code here, without having to type them like let's say doc type one by one and so on. Okay, so without having to type this one by one, so we just press the shift key and then we press number one. Okay, so when we press shift key and press number one, you will see this exclamation mark. Just press it and everything will come. Okay, now you can see I have the full HTML file here. So you can see I have a doc type here, I have HTML here, I have head. Okay, then I have some very important information, which is the meta, and then title, that is the name of the title, which is document. So I want you to check here document and check here, you see there is document. So the title part of the website, within this title, between this, so whatsoever you write here, that is what is visible in the search bar here. So I will just say here home. I'll just say here home. Now you can see home here. Do you see home? So that's it. So now this is our first HTML skeleton. So now we are going to start dealing with the HTML basic tags, and we understand them one by one. Okay, so let's move in and then see what next we have. Now we have seen all these tags here, and we understand what they do. Okay, so let's now let's talk about basic tags. Now, what is an HTML? What is an HTML tag? HTML tags are keywords. Okay, so now we will come to the real thing. Now, HTML tags are keywords, tag names surrounded by angle brackets. So every tag have this angle bracket, this thing that you are seeing here, which is a less than sign, and then at the other end of it also with a greater than sign. So this is a tag name. Now between this greater than and less than of the closing part, we write the content here. So this part here is also a tag name. So you have already seen this. This is an opening part of the tag name, and this is the closing part of the tag name. Now these tag names or these tags can be different tags. We have the header tags, we have the paragraph tags, we have the image tags, the anchor tags, and so many other tags. So we will start with the heading tag. So now sometimes when you visit websites, you will see very important information. Now let's look at here. We said HTML headings are defined within using this character that you are seeing here, that is less than angle bracket, that is less than h1, and then greater than, which is angle bracket dot, and then this h6. So meaning we have h1 up to h6. So all these h1, h2, h3, h4 are all used to how to call it, are all used to write titles or write very important part, or let's say indicate an important aspect within your browser. Okay, for example, we want to say welcome. So but before we do that, now I want you to look into the screen here. We have all the tags here. Header one, each of the tag, this is the result they will show in the browser. When we use the header one, this is the visibility of the header one. This is how thick it is going to be. When we use header 2, you can see header 2. When we use header 3, this is how it is going to be. Header 4, header 5, and it goes like that up to header 6. So we have h1 up to h6. Okay, so that is the aspect of this one. So now we will open our Visual Studio Code, and we will start. We will now, where are we going to put our message? Now our message or our coding or whatsoever information we want to display in the browser here will have to be between the opening of the body tag and then here, that is the closing tag here. Okay, so every tag in the HTML file will have an opening tag and then a closing tag, but some of the tags, they are what, they are self-closing tags, meaning they don't have this slash forward here. Okay, so let's say now I want to type use h1 tag, so I'll just say h1. Okay, this is an HTML tag. So you can see once I start typing, it comes, I just press. So you can see, let me create a space. I have an opening, and then I also have a closing. So what do I want to write here? I'll just say this. Okay, now look at the visibility here. Okay, so whatsoever I am putting in my website here, in my coding here, is displaying here. You can see it is not showing you h1 here anymore. It's only showing you the result that I put between them, right? So I will just say this is my, okay, this is my, sorry, first web page. Okay, so you can see this is my first web page, and just save. Okay, so this is my first web page. This is header one tag. We have used the header one tag. You see how visible it is. So let's just go down and say h2 again, and type again the same sentence. So I will just copy this sentence here. I don't want to be retyping everything here to waste time. So I will just say this is my first web page. You see how small this one is. Okay, so I will just come here again and say h3. You can see once I press enter, I will have opening and closing tag. Paste the information. So the content, the information that we are writing within the website have to be between the opening and the closing tags. We cannot write it behind here. You see, if I should write it behind here, okay, you see how it is. Look at it now. You see the message how it is, because it's telling you that this is my first web page. I am not inside any of the tag. I am inside the body tag. Okay, so the reason why you see it here, because everything in this HTML structure here is correct. Okay, so everything in this structure that you are seeing here, it is correct. That is why you are seeing the text here. But if I should remove any part here, let's say I remove any part here and then save and see, still now it is fine. Okay, so that's it. So not all the browsers will give us the errors, but now this message that we have here, you see now I have removed it. I'll just save. Okay, so that is it. So this is we have 3 line of course here. This is my first web page, this is my first web page. So this is header 1, the second one is header 2, and the third one is header 3. So most of the website